Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be back. Hello, it is good to see you. I changed up my decor because we are fully into fall now, and I'm really excited about it. It looks so cute. And if you can catch my little ghost here, I got that in Disney Tokyo. It's really cute. He clings to your shoulder, but like he clings to the garland too. And I just love it. Hi, I'm back. How is everybody doing? Happy anniversary was it Christina? Um, Happy anniversary. Let me just double check that because I want to make sure I'm getting it right. But 13 years is pretty awesome. Do you know how many Venus returns you've already gone through, which shows how strong your relationship is? It's fantastic. Venus returns every 8 years or so. So you've done it at least once, and that is always a really cool thing. The Venus return, it's so funny. In relationships, they say that there's like this 2-year itch into a marriage. And it's funny because around 2 years into a marriage, the marriage will have its first Venus retrograde. And so if you lean into that, you actually come out of it a lot stronger and you understand each other more deeply and all these things. But it is one of the first challenges as far as like hurdles that a relationship goes through. And we see Venus in that. And then in 8 years, Venus returns to the same place relative to the sun that she was on the anniversary of your wedding, that she was on your wedding day. So you get this whole return of that promise, and you get to say, like, we're renewing this oath to each other. How do we feel about it? Where are we at? How have we grown? And how are we going to up level from here? So 13 years, you are doing a fantastic job with your relationship. Yeah. I wonder, like, I'm guessing sometimes it does fall on like October 13th, falling on a Friday on occasion would be really, really fun. But yeah, thank you, AJ, and everybody for welcoming me back. It has been a wild past few weeks for you all and for myself on a personal level. I'm sure everybody's had a lot that they've been growing through in the last couple weeks. I certainly know the headlines have been busy, and so have we personally. So I am since the crosswalk, Jenny. Thank you for referring to it that way because honestly, so Jenny is referring to the fact that a month and 2 days ago, believe it or not, I got hit by a car while crossing in a crosswalk, and so for anybody who doesn't know this already, got hit by a car while crossing in a crosswalk. Yes, I pushed the button on the crosswalk thing. Yes, the lights were blinking. Yes, 3 out of 4 of the lanes were already stopped and the second lane was empty until I got to it and a car hit me. In which case the car kept going. Hello, Angela. Good morning. I hope you're feeling great. So yes, I'm not doing as well as I'd like to be because honestly, I'd like to be like peak and full and back to my like total health. But I think I'm doing well. So we'll see. I have my next physical therapy on Wednesday, and I should only have about 1 month more of that before they graduate me. And I'm honestly going to be like, hey, can you recommend a personal trainer so that I can get uber strong now? So that's my goal. I'm going to use this as my bouncing off point to finally get a personal trainer who can show me how strong I can actually get. And that's my goal there too. So, what are your goals right now? Next week, we have a Libra new moon coming up. I was just doing the study on that this morning so that I can release it in my As Above, So Below newsletter this weekend for people on Patreon. Even if you're on the free tier, you're going to get As Above, So Below. If you're on the student tier, you're going to get a more in-depth view of that comes with a spell to try each week and more astrological in-depth study, which is really fun. We have a lot going on next week, and we have plenty going on this week as well. This week, we have Pluto today stationing direct while Venus opposes Neptune and moves into Libra. So Venus finally gets to be somewhere that she likes to be. And honestly, I don't think too many people are getting on her case about it. So if I just bump my chart forward here, and I'll show the chart later if it feels helpful, but right now I'm just trying to get exact time. So it's going to be this evening, 5:18 p.m. Eastern time when Venus finally gets into Libra. The sun is in Libra, so she's got Chariot. We love that for her. And Mars is averse, so that's nice. Saturn is averse, so that's nice. No malefics are involved. And the moon right now is applying to Jupiter, who will have a superior square to Venus. So that's actually kind of a helpful thing. I know it's a square, and we usually say that those are of the nature of Mars, so they're kind of challenging. But with malefics, it's like good squaring good is just active good. So that's one of the theories. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, as far as the astrology today, Pluto's moving direct. We're seeing some things that are also having some motion that do tend to associate themselves with Venus and with Pluto transits. So those headlines have happened today already. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on, and that's just today. If we run through the rest of the week, Venus, of course, because she is entering into the early degrees of a sign, is now going to interact with Pluto and Uranus tomorrow. And then it's pretty quiet until later this week on the 17th on Friday. The Sun and Jupiter will square each other. But other than that, that's the only real like transits we've got going on. So today is the heaviest transit day of the week. So use this week to unwind, use this week to decompress. Next week, we've got a lot of stuff going on. We'll talk about it when it gets here. It just feels like a lot of events next week. A lot of, you know, when I did the channeling into it, and we'll get into it more next week when it's more relevant and closer and we can see more grounded how we can work with it. The energy of it did feel very much like it's going to be one of those times where you just have to remember, I heard this, but I know this, but I feel this, and this is my value. And so you have to just take everything you're experiencing externally and remember who you are internally, and then decide how you're going to react or take action in an aligned way to you. You have to fall back on your own moral compass. And that's going to be Venus in Libra for us. She is the one saying, hey, remember what we feel balances the scales. Remember how I feel things are fair. Remember what mercy, grace, and justice look like to me. And those are going to be your questions that you can ask over the next month to just really keep yourself balanced. And that's what matters. If you feel balanced, you will then be able to do things externally. If you're imbalanced, the actions are going to feel a little bit wonky as well. So take care of yourself first and foremost, and then you will be ready when you are summoned or called into action on behalf of or with another person. It's going to be my best advice for now. And it looks like Danny is here. Hang on a second, because people are celebrating it, and I love that. All right. So by the way, let me just go back here and make sure I say hello to everybody. AJ, our wonderful mod. If you see AJ in the chat, AJ is helping me keep track of your questions and comments, and also is helping to just celebrate you, which I love AJ for. Fantastic at it. Jenny, hi, good to see you. I know we've got Christina here too. Again, happy anniversary. And then let's see. We had a really great conversation going on in the chat before I jumped in, and it was really fun to follow. Let's see. Christina's still there. Another Christina. Hi, Christina Benfield this time. Good to see you. Angela, of course, is here. And Steph Lynn, good to see you too. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day down here in the US. Let's see. Danny, there's Danny. Hi, Danny. Good to see you. Honestly, you didn't get here that late. I've just been waxing philosophic. Kathy Young, good to see you. Amazing that you guys are here. Chrissy, good morning. And I am caught up. Fantastic. So thank you guys all for being here. That's our overview, a little bit of the transits for this week coming up, and a bit of a forecast into next week. Again, we'll talk about that more as it approaches. But yeah, it's been a time, hasn't it? Let's see, it's been what, 3 weeks since we last got to hang out, I think, 2 or 3, but hang on. Yep, 3. It's been 3 weeks since we got to hang out last. So that's plenty of time for a lot to have occurred. If you've got stuff that's going on, feel free to chat about it. We can talk about it together. And yeah, if you want to hear any stories about Thailand, I'm open to sharing. Rita, hello, good morning. It is so good to be back. And yes, so for the person who asked about my shoulder and that situation, I I oscillate between like it's the funniest joke I've got in my arsenal right now, and also being kind of fed up with the fact that I'm still having to deal with it, because I would like to move on and not have to, like, I don't like being slowed down, which a lot of us relate to. And I'm in one of those times where my body is saying you have to slow down. But the good news is that didn't stop me from doing all the things that I really enjoy. One of my goals when we go on these trips is if I can find a tree to climb, I will. I prefer it when my feet are not on the ground. And so this time we were in a jungle in Thailand, and they walked us right up to a vine. And they were like, yeah, kids use this to swing on, and you can swing on it too. Who wants to try? And I sat there, and for a second, I was like, do I not? Because I'm supposed to be responsible, or this is my opportunity to climb a tree in Thailand. And so what I did was I found the compromise, and we had a wonderful guy on the trip. His name was Kevin. And I was like, Kevin, I need your support here. Can you help me up onto the vine so that I can swing on it? So what I did was I got help. I got help to get up on the vine. And there's a video clip that maybe I'll share. It's got M in the background being like, Krista, do not hurt your shoulder, because M cares. And we love that. But I was able to do it, which made me feel really, really good. Yeah. So that was one of the stories. I did get to swing on a vine in Thailand. I would have done far more had I been at full capacity. I would have Georgia the jungled that thing. But I was honoring what my body told me I was allowed to do at the time. So I trust there will be another vine that I can swing on sometime later in my life. And thank you guys for voting that we do want to hear about the trip. Yes, Kathy, I'm glad that you guys all looked forward to coming back to this as much as I did. I missed you guys while I was away each Monday. I knew it was a Monday, whatever, date it was, because I was on the other side of the date line. But I did miss this, and I'm really glad we're back. So yeah, we were in jungles. I got a tattoo, which was amazing and one of the coolest experiences of my entire life, thanks to the person who was able to do the tattoo for us. I got stuck in an elevator. Which went really well, and the videos are hilarious. Kevin helped with that too, and so did another friend of ours who was also really great at filming it, and to that person, I'm very grateful. Yeah, so let's chat about it. I know I didn't post as much on social media as I normally would during these trips. I'm getting some posts together. It just didn't happen, which was weird, but also this was a trip where we all agreed by like day 2, everybody, not just me who was like busted, everybody was focused on healing in some capacity. And so I think one of the concepts of the trip was like not worrying about posting to social media in the moment, because we were busy focusing on our internal healing at the time, which is really beautiful to think about in retrospect. And also, I will post more about it, don't worry. And we can talk about it now. So yeah, we got to visit tons of temples. We got to visit, we got so many blessings from monks. Each of these bracelets is a blessing from a monk. This one, we all got as a group because our wonderful guide arranged for us to all get a blessing from a Buddhist monk. And then this one was because one of our travelers was being really kind to a cat at a temple, and the monks noticed and decided to give us a free blessing, which was really nice. And it was just really nice. Again, they're very much immersed with their religions and their spiritual practices. I lean more towards calling it the spiritual practices. There were temples truly everywhere, and they were so ingrained and interwoven into the fabric of society and culture that it was really neat to see. Markets were outside the temples. There's parking in the temples, and then you would go elsewhere for wherever you needed to be. And it was really nice. And of course, I went to Thailand, and then after Thailand, after the official trip, I did go with a friend to Japan for a couple days, which was equally nice. If you know me, you know Japan is one of my favorite places in the world. And so getting to be there again was amazing. And I said to Dan yesterday, like, I'm already ready to go back. It's just nice there. I miss it. Yeah. And I did arrange like my attire. So if you guys want to see the tattoo, I can make that happen without being totally awkward. I planned that. But also, if you want to hear the story about it, it's really, really neat. And I also see we've got some stories here from Jenny, something magical that you were able to be a part of was your mental mentorship program with M. Some of the manifestations have happened, all good things. Of course they have. I'm so confident in M's programs. It's awesome. Cool. Danny, thank you for applauding me for asking for help. I'm working on that. But the good news is, again, on these trips, you're surrounded by people who don't make you feel any less or weaker for asking for help. In fact, they make you feel empowered when they help you. So that's always something that I'm grateful for. Sassafras Kath, hello, good to see you. Yeah, okay, so we see some people who do want the story of the tattoo and to see the tattoo, which is great. We are talking about Thailand right now. So, Yes, cool. Let's go into the tattoo story. So I had I never thought I was gonna be the person to get tattoos. So if you are maybe you relate to this. I grew up with family who was not into the tattoo game. And when my brother got his first tattoo, it was my mission as the kid sibling to make sure mom didn't find out. And when she did, I was the first one he blamed, even though I didn't say anything. But I got to watch her yell at him, and so when I, grew up, I was like, I would definitely like I have no judgment against people who have tattoos. I think they're really cool. But I'm the nerd that if I got a tattoo, it would probably be like a Triforce on my left hand or something that I can't guarantee would be meaningful to me when I'm older. And so I got very indecisive about the kind of tattoo I would want. Um, and so when M was like, hey, a bunch of us are doing Sakyant tattoos in Thailand, there was one thing that I had always known about myself, that if I got a tattoo, I wanted it to involve this thing called an unalome. And it's this symbol that represents sort of the trials of life and the path to enlightenment on your way up. And so it starts in a circle or a spiral or some kind of a symbol that has meaning. And it winds around and then it does like these figure eight little loopy things, which you'll see, and it comes into a straight line and then reaches these two dots. And they are the path to enlightenment that you go through, honoring everything you've experienced to get you there. So when I looked up what a Sakyant tattoo typically looks like, I saw a bunch of unalomes in the designs and I thought, okay, I have my feeling that I know is my feeling of like, you should do this. And most of the time, I don't get the why I should do this. I just get a you should do this. And so I was committed to doing it. I signed myself up and two other friends. And this was like in June. We decided we were going to do this. And so I was looking forward to it. I was excited. I'm like, "Oh man, I'm going to get a tattoo. That's really cool." And the idea is that the person who gives you the tattoo is a monk. They're actually called an ajarn, Ajarn. And so they are spiritually going to divine for you what you need for your tattoo. And I was like, "Cool. I don't have to worry about being indecisive because someone's just going to channel in for me what I need." And so I set the intention that we were going to get a really intuitive Ajarn who was going to actually channel in and not just give us something generic. And then when we got to the end of the trip, the next day, my two friends and I had this wonderful experience where at 9 a.m. we were picked up by our guide who would translate for us and take us and drive us around everywhere throughout the day. And her name was Wow, WAO. But we were like, wow, the entire time. And honestly, she lived up to her name because she picked us up at 9 and starts talking in the car about, being a little bit different and spiritual people she gets to interact with. And this person taught her she learned about chakras from a group that was traveling from Russia, which I thought was really interesting. And we were like, yeah, we totally get that. That makes sense to us. No worries. You can be that person around us. And then we get to the Ajarn's house, which is on the outskirts of Chiang Mai. And he's just like the village healer kind of situation, which I think is really cool. Again, like coming from the folk magic background, that jives so well with what I know. Also, sorry, Jack is pitching a little fit over here because he wants to be outside because it's breezy, but there's a hole in our fence, so they can't go out unless I can watch them. And so poor buddy has to wait for me to be done here before I can let him outside to run around. They were out before this, but that's not enough. So if you hear whining in the background, he's fine. He's just dramatic. So anyway, back to the Ajarn. The other cool thing that Wow did was she put together the offerings for the Ajarn that we were supposed to bring. So we didn't have to worry about that either. And we didn't look stupid or disrespectful at any point because she was taking care of us. So we get there and we get to go inside. We introduce ourselves to the Ajarn. And as soon as I saw him, I knew like in my energy, and I think I even said it to my friends, like, we got a good one. We got one who's like really cool about this, because another situation we had. Oh, sorry, Brody. Brody, Christina's dog, I'm guessing, has the same problem as Jack today. So the thing about the religious culture in Thailand is that most of it is intended for people who are of the born male persuasion. And I like honestly, because we weren't allowed in some of the temples, and we weren't allowed to do this and we weren't allowed to do that. I asked like, what's the qualification here? And by every qualification that they consider someone to be female. I don't meet them, and I was really proud of that. But also, I still didn't get to do stuff because, as Wow said, my face is too sweet. Thanks, Wow. So at least I have a sweet face. So we were concerned because our guide was like, they might not do it for you because you're a woman, and these Ajans aren't allowed to touch women. And I was like, well, they already got my money and it's been booked. So they know my name, they know my companions' names, they know our genders. Uh, it's going to happen. So, and it did. The cool thing was this guy didn't bat an eye. He treated us equally from the moment we stepped in. And honestly, exceeding expectations, as I'll get to. Sweet face discrimination. Yes, Gabe. I mean, I was just like, I've never been more insulted to be called sweet, but it's okay. I know you meant well. So we go in, we prepare the offerings for the Ajarn, and then there was this huge statue outside that was the Ajarn's guru that he honored. And the Ajarn himself had his seat in the middle of, it was like a tiered altar, and there was just stuff everywhere. There were Buddha statues, there were other artifacts, there were masks, all of these things, which eventually we got to see several of them have ritual meaning. And so that was incredible to see. One of us actually got a blessing with holy water, and we got to see him bless a bottle of water using the tools. And it was really awesome just to observe that from like a folk magic perspective. But my first friend decided to go first. Like she had it in her that she was like, I want to go first. And I was like, awesome. I want to see how it goes because I want to like watch the pain threshold, check this out. Cause everybody was like, it's a bamboo needle. Well, it's a needle on the end of a stick of bamboo is what it was. And he just like did this. And it was incredible how steady his hand was able to be for this. But she went first. And I'm like, there's no way that this pain is worse than a dislocated shoulder for 2 hours. So I think I'm going to be fine. Like I had brain surgery. I can handle pain. And so I've also determined that it wasn't going to hurt. So I was feeling pretty confident, but watching the process made me feel better about how I could be most respectful. And it gave me an opportunity to really sink into the energy and kind of tune in. And he did a fantastic job. My friend went up there. She said what she wanted to say. I had fussed over what I wanted to say for the intention that I had behind what I wanted my tattoo to mean. And I had like written it down already. So by the time it came to my turn, I just passed my phone to Wow, who read it and then translated it. And the Ajarn listened, but then like looked at me. And, and I just heard in my head, like, here we go. Which was good. Like, this is what I wanted, right? I wanted an Ajarn who could like see through things, right? And so he had me put my hand out, left and right hand, and he got this stick that had silver on the end, and it was just wood for the rest of the way. If you watch the video that I was able to post with permission, you can see him using it, and he used that to touch the palms of my hands. So he didn't touch me, and he wore gloves the entire time. So technically, I guess that was the way that he avoided the whole touching rule. And so he touches my hand, he touches the other hand, and he says through Wow that you have a connection with, they called them the ladies, but they meant like gods and goddesses, mostly the goddesses. And he was like, you have a connection with the ladies. And I was like, yeah, if any of you know my lore, yeah. And then we get this on video where he says, you're not normal. And I'm like, how many ways do you want me to agree with that? Because I'm not going to start the list, but yes, you're correct. But then they start going into, he said, you can read the people's minds, which is an allusion to being psychic, I believe. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I help people heal. I read their astrology charts. And the whole time I'm just like, OMG. Because when he asked me to put my hands out, I decided to open up my energy, to be seen as much as I could be seen, because I want this tattoo to have meaning, right? So he immediately sees all of it. And I'm just like, excellent. This is what I was hoping for anyway. But now I'm being seen and I have to deal with the nerves of that. So he goes through this whole thing, gives me the deepest compliment of saying that I'm already a master and guru kind of energy, which neat. And he said that through Wow, he said like better than an Ajarn, which I tried to say no of because he got to do this, respected by his whole community his entire life. So I imagine there's certain levels of initiation that he got to go through that I can't understand, but also how cool that he said that. Like I felt really validated in my own path for that. And he decided in the end that he was going to give me a master's tattoo or a teacher's tattoo, a guru's tattoo. He used all three of those terms. And so I have my two friends who, thank God for these two. As soon as this started, they started filming because we all know I would have convinced myself this did not happen the next day. And so I have it on film where I can sit there and listen to it and be like, that did happen. Take it seriously. And it was really cool. And he talked about how one of the big things that he did, and the coolest thing was, I always look for an open practice form of the folk magic of a play of the culture we're going to share with our travelers. And this time I had done a talisman loosely based on Buddhist, inspired by Buddhist practices, because there's so much work that goes into what these monks and ajahns do that I would not hope to just be able to do that off the cuff. So I did something that was inspired, and it was based on the word metta, M-E-T-T-A, but of course in Thai script, it would look entirely different. I used the Romaji script, or Romanic script, whatever. I used the English letters because again, I wanted to keep it in my lane. And so it said metta, and that was supposed to mean like loving kindness and that kind of stuff. And every time I do one of these, sometime during the trip, I find out why I was drawn to that specific thing. When it was the Italy trip, I did an evil eye thing. And I was like, why do we need an evil eye thing? Well, it was because our guide was going to tell us to go die. So we needed that. We did dream staves in Iceland, which was hilarious with 24-hour sunlight. But then in Japan, that I left that close practice, I did a spell for helping to remove heat, and everybody was having heat issues because it was so hot. One of the hottest summers they'd had. They topped that this year, but we got to use that spell. And then this time it was metta. And throughout the trip, I was like, well, I guess it's just what it is, loving kindness. We all need that right now. And then he kept saying the word metta in the incantations that he was using to activate the tattoo and to talk about it. And so finally I turned around, I said, what does metta mean? And she said, oh, it's mercy. And he's talking about how much mercy you have for people and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, this time I think the talisman got me instead of me like doing it for everybody else. So that is what the tattoo means. And he gave me a master teacher's tattoo to help me. He said, like, I already have a connection to the good energy, and I already have a capacity to fight the bad energy. He was just going to give me a stronger connection to that, and a way to be able to have more visibility and courage in sharing it without worrying about judgment, which was great. That was exactly what I wanted. So through this like 40-minute process, that, to be honest with you, the most the pain felt like was when you accidentally scratch open a zit. That's what it felt like, just over and over. And so to start out, I felt that, and I was like, okay. But I heard a bird outside, and what we've learned from my experience in the hospital after my shoulder is that to get through pain rather than groan, I like to sing. So I was doing like a little ditty in my mind and kind of like letting the air out of my mouth as I was singing along with a bird outside. And then eventually I got used to it and started, talking and cracking jokes, and we were kind of reading for each other. And it was very easy to be intuitive in this moment for incredible reasons. Oh, wow. And of course, Gabe knows this. It's one of the paramitas. Well, there you go. I would love more info on that, Gabe, if you even like want to DM it to me on Instagram or something. But yeah, so that was one of the biggest things that they said was one of my strengths, the whole mercy kind of thing, which again, if you know my lore, my lore really backs that up. So um, when they do the tattoo, they ask you where you want it. And Wow had said, ask the best position for it to be placed to help the intention of that tattoo. And so that's what I said. And all three of us ended up getting it in the middle upper part of our backs. So what I'm going to do, and don't worry, like I've got a shirt on, I'm going to show you the tattoo. So bear with me. I'm just going to turn around here and hopefully you guys can see it. And if you're someone who reads energy, feel free to let me know if you feel anything. So here we go. It is, let's see, right there. Can we see it? Yeah, we can see it. Boop. That's the tattoo. And so it is, I do have a bigger version of it on Instagram where you can see the whole design. But that's my tattoo, and I get to have it forever now. And I'm really excited about it. Yeah. So the idea originally of these were, of course, thanks, Gabe, were for warriors. And so one of the things that I love that they tried to emphasize was like, don't worry about if it's pretty. it's not about pretty, it's about function. It's about the magic behind the tattoo. And I was like all about that. Like, yes, let it be about the magic. Um, so that is my master guru's tattoo, which I now have. And I'm really, really grateful for it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm stoked. Every time I work out now in the mornings, if I'm doing like shoulders, especially, I look at it and I'm just like, that feels so good. So it's really helping me feel strong as I wait for my shoulder to catch up with the rest of me. So cool. Yeah. Awesome. I love that you guys are getting intuitive hits on it. That's fantastic. Please feel free to share more about that if you want to. I'd love to validate it. Protection was something that was incorporated into its sassafras cath. So good job on that. Steph Lynn says, I love that he saw your mercy. It reminds me of how you worried about everyone's ick factor when your shoulder was hurt. Yeah. Yeah. I was really lucky. Actually, I was worried about the ick factor, especially for how gross my knee looked. Um, after the accident, and fortunately, um, my knee is more or less healed. The scabs are now fallen off. The last one fell off over the weekend, and I'm like, yay, we are on our way to full healing here. I'm going to start doing some scar care on them since I'm so good at scar care now after the last year. Celebration there. I'm done with scar care on the top half. Now I'm going to work on it on my elbow and my knee. So hopefully it doesn't take a whole year for that, but we'll see. AJ got together meta meditation, or often loving kindness meditation, is the practice concerned with the cultivation of metta, benevolence, kindness, and amity. Yeah, which is really, really cool. Steph Lynn, the tattoo made you think of fire. I like that too. Yeah, so the 5 sort of lines that were on the top of it are a protection piece, and they are the 5 names of the Buddhas. And he wrote down their names for me because he also gave me a ritual to go along with it that I do every day, to sort of activate it extra, which I love. Like, I get a ritual to go along with my tattoo, say less. But they are the 5 names of the Buddhas. 4 Buddhas have already incarnated, and the 5th is anticipated. So that's really cool too. Yeah. So that was the story about the Sakyant tattoo, SAK space YANT, Sakyant tattoo. If someone is ever going to Thailand and you would like to do this experience, I can tell you the company that I used because I recommend them highly. Because not only did we have this incredible experience afterwards to help us replenish our energy, Wow took us out to eat somewhere. And Wow realized that all 3 of us were more or less vegetarian. And made sure we got a vegetarian restaurant that she said, like, I know you're not picky, but I am. And she took us to this delicious place where we actually were able to get like really good vegetarian food in Chiang Mai. And then after that, she took us to an amulet market, and I don't remember if I have my amulet down here. But so one of the cool things that I think we did was we went through what we were given by the tattoo. And then he talked to us for so long, telling us like where our strengths and our energy was, how strong our minds were, where we could grow stronger. And so we took that feedback. And when we went to the amulet market, we looked for amulets that would help us with those things as well. And my amulet ended up being, I can't believe I found it. It's the shape of a turtle, and it's made with like 18 karat gold and a cowrie shell. And inside is dirt from seven sacred sites around Thailand. And so it's got like protection and success and long life. That came up. Long life stuff came up for, this guy. And then it also is this deep protection with dirt from 7 sacred sites around Thailand. And it's designed that, it'll protect you. And when it's done, it falls apart. So I'm hoping that I don't get into too much trouble that it falls apart, because it's really pretty and I like it. So yeah. And then we all were able to get different amulets that meant something to us. And it was just really cool how everything fell into place. Like, even the person that we went to, we were going around to the different people. It's like this whole market of people who make amulets or have amulets that were made. And we're just like, okay, well, how are we going to find in this basically haystack of amulets the one that we're supposed to get? And one of us needed to break a bill. Our BAT, BAHT, was the money that we used there. And we needed to break the bill down into a smaller bill. And so Wow, of course, was friends with one of the people there and took our friend over there to break the bill. But then we all started looking at his talismans, and he had not been doing well that day. He was about to pack up and go home because he hadn't made any sales. Well, all three of us found the amulets that we wanted from him. So we were able to reciprocally make his day the way he made ours by being there to help us. It was so cool. So that was probably, again, the most magical day, obviously, of the entire trip. And Wow was incredible too. Turns out Wow is pretty psychic. She's uncomfortable with being psychic, so we didn't want to press it too much. But she was contributing to the reads that the Ajarn was giving us, which was also really cool, just to be able to hear what he was saying and then her to be able to be like, but this also. And you could just see her being like, I don't know why I know this. And it was awesome. There were so many synchronicities that day. It was, like I said, probably one of the coolest days of my life. It felt just as validating as when Chip Coffee called me out in front of that room of people. So, hey, Shauna, good to see you. Good to, well, see your name anyway. And of course, today, Em and I will be recording the recap for the trip, which you will probably hear next Monday because we recorded before the trip all of the episodes up until today. So next Monday, you will hear the recap. But also, if you want to hear it from us live, we'll be doing our Alchemist Ink spill on our Alchemist Inkwell channel here on YouTube live this Friday. So you can hear from us that way too. Yeah, agreed, Danny. Shauna, I hope you are healing up well. I'm glad that went so well for you. Awesome. Yeah, so that's one of the stories. So we talked about the Sakyan. We talked about, well, okay. We talked about the vine, which was cool. Let's see, what else did we do? I mean, there was a lot of firsts on this one. Like I got my first Thai massage, which was interesting. I've never gotten a massage before. And so this was really fun to me to like actually lean into healing to that degree, which was great. Friday is supposed to be a tricky day. Sassafras Kath, what makes you say that? I mean, I'm looking at the astrology, but I'd love to hear your take on it. Yeah. So yeah, it's a busy week. I know for me personally, I've got meetings somewhere every day this week, which is a lot. But it's all good things. It's all good things. Oh, also, if anyone here would like a free opportunity to learn with me and a really excellent astrologer friend of mine, some of you may know Vivi, Vivi Henriette, who I've done lives with in the past on Instagram. She and I are running what we're calling a research group. It's a surge group through NCGR, which is the organization that I am the clerk of. And they're doing these research groups that are free access. And the one that we're doing is beginner friendly. It's astrology based. We're going to be going over annual profections and just sort of doing research on them. Things like, asking questions about, basically we'll teach you what annual perfections are, how to do them really easily. Will take like 10 minutes. But then also we'll get into some of the different ways that they've been discussed through different source texts and talk about like, what do we notice works really well? What do we notice maybe isn't as prominent? Do we have things that work sometimes yes and sometimes no? And then we'll get to sort of research into the different ways we can use it. So if you wanted to learn astrology with me and another really excellent astrologer and the timing technique of annual perfections, which is one of the most accessible predictive techniques in astrology, feel free to sign up for that. I think it should still be in my stories, but NCGR, their profile also has the registration link for that. And I'm going to find a way to, maybe on my email list, I'll be able to put it out there, or maybe on my Patreon, I'll put it out there. So go on to Patreon on the free tier, I'll put it there, or sign up for my mailing list and you will get that link as well. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll probably meet once a month, so you'll have plenty of time to do stuff in between. It's looking like it's going to start in November, and then it goes for as long as it goes. So that's going to be really, like I said, it's going to be a good time. It's a free thing that you can do. It's a monthly thing that's going to help out with astrology in general. And I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a really good time. And yeah, you know me, I love the idea of research, and it'll help you get kind of familiar with some of the source materials that we're pulling from when we do these things. So amazing, AJ. Yes, thank you. There is a sort of panel thing going on this Sunday. I'll be there, but I don't think I'm one of the featured people. So I don't really know how that's going to go yet, but I will be there. And so we can at least chat in the comments there. And yeah, that'd be great. Also, another thing that's going to be coming up, I'm not sure when, I think next month around November 11th through the 13th. Here, if anybody remembers, we talked about this on the podcast. M was on this summit that she kind of rolled her eyes at. um, I have been invited to do that summit now too next month. And I'm looking forward to that too. And I know they're going to ask me to get as many people to sign up to come as I can. And it would be really cool to show them how many of our people can show up, and to just, put some really educated, grounded, amazing, intuitive people in the chat there. Because the more, spiritually sound people we have representing, the better, to be perfectly honest with you. So keep an eye out for a link to register for that when I get it. It would be awesome to have you guys there, just so we can show people what it's like to not spiritual bypass things. That's the mission. So yeah, Jenny, thank you. The summit it's got a really weird name, but it's honestly, I don't know. They reached out to me. Apparently, um, they think I'm also a boy, which is really fun. Um, Let me see if I can find it here. I don't know. It's going to take me a bit, but yeah, it's going to be fun to just sort of ground them and help them understand, like, I think I'm going to end up talking about folk magic and astrology, as I often do. They'll probably lean me towards astrology a lot because it sounds like that's one of the gaps in their repertoire. But they are people, what's fair to say? Hang on. They seem to be, from what the energy I've gotten and from what I've understood from M's perspective, very self-taught and not very resourced in research and other kind of contexts. So I look forward to kind of bringing to light, one of the things that was hugely illuminating for me as I was growing in my spirituality was that I'm not the first person who's thought about this kind of stuff. And I can benefit from taking into consideration how people thought about it before me. And I can take some and I can leave some. And so I'm really looking forward to bringing that into the context of the conversation. So, source texts. So that'll be fun. Yeah. So if you guys want to be there, I would love to have you there. You guys always have the best questions and the best comments and things. And I think not only will I benefit from you being there, but other people in the comments and in the chat would benefit from you guys being there too. Just showing how a community can be grounded and incredible the way you guys are. So yeah, that's how much I respect and value you guys. And it'll also make me feel a lot better being in that space. So cool, cool, cool. Yeah, so those are a couple stories from Thailand. Honestly, it was just a really great experience. I really love Thailand. If you got the opportunity to go, I would recommend it. Sounds like an industry thing where, like in acting, you are balancing the how you can co-benefit each other, even though it's not perfect. Absolutely. And again, especially in every industry, to AJ's point, but also in spirituality, all voices are important, because one of the concepts that we get into in now, this is more in the theology space, but I think it applies everywhere. It's called circling the elephant. So it's comparative theology, but it's also comparative anything, right? The concept is, if you blindfold 5 different people, put them in the room with an elephant and tell them to explain to you what they're feeling, they're going to explain, like, one's going to say an elephant is just the trunk. One's going to say it's just the tail. One's going to say it's just the ear, and so on. And none of them is going to be fully right, but none of them are really wrong either, right? And it takes all of the perspectives to really understand the vastness of the elephant as a whole. By the way, I got to meet some elephants in Thailand, so that's a really great transition. So yeah, I don't have the link on how to get to the summit yet. They just emailed me this morning. So you are getting the very, very early info on that. You will get the link through my Patreon on the free tier, and also through my mailing list. So whichever one you want to sign up for, it's all free stuff there. And I honestly try not to inundate with stuff on either of those. So yeah, you can sign up there. When I get the link, you'll know it. You'll get an email, because Patreon will let you know, or it'll be my mailing list. So you'll have that. Yeah. Um, Jenny says there's another form of spiritual bypassing, seeing emotions that come up in a spiritual moment and then really looking at the emotion and understanding where that emotion comes from so I can be a better me. That's not spiritual bypassing. Actually, that is the opposite of spiritual bypassing. Love and light or thoughts and prayers, those things can be, in the wrong contexts, spiritual bypassing. What you're saying is, I recognize that something is coming up within me, and I'm going to investigate that and witness it and see what it's teaching me. That is not spiritual bypassing. That is being an incredible, emotionally mature human being. So, that to me is the best way to do it. Nicole said some of us newbies can get carried away with embracing there are no rules. It's all about intention and forgetting to be mindful, be careful, responsible when we should be. I think that's really well stated, Nicole. Because yeah, there's two sides of that coin, right? There's the incredibly freeing ability to say I can be and do whatever I want to be, and that's fantastic. And then also a compliment to that is saying I get to honor that everybody else gets to be that as well, and maybe someone has laid some groundwork for me that helps me get ahead even faster. It's like the if I make a mistake, I want to tell you about it so that you don't have to make the same mistake. But by hearing my story, you get the experience by proxy. And now you get to build upon that without having to get hit by a car. Right. So that is the idea of why I respect and love like older texts so much, because they've done a lot of thinking for me already. And 99% of the time, they'll validate something I already felt and then put me on a springboard to the next thing I can learn without me having to take years to do it. I've gotten the experience because they already thought through it and they shared it with me. And therefore, now I can go forward and build upon it rather than having to reinvent the wheel. So it's a both and situation, 100%. Yeah. Yay, elephants. Yeah, elephants are really cool. Loved them. Um, yeah, Jenny, no, I think you're on an incredible track. You're fantastic. Um, it's great. Cool, cool, cool. So we still have a little bit of time. I'm going to take a drink really quick and look at me. I'm lifting a whole bottle of water with my right arm. It's awesome. It only twinged a little bit. I'm so proud of myself. Yay. Um, yeah. So what else do we want to talk about? Do we have any questions for this week? Anything that you wanted to share? How have the last 3 weeks been for you? It's been a while. How was the energy with the elephants? The energy with the elephants was great. That day, our workshop focused on animal communication. So the mission while you were out there among the elephants was to see how you connected with them, what kind of energy you got off of them, if you heard anything, felt anything, sensed anything from them. And several of our people were connecting with one or two of the elephants very clearly. And it was really, really cool to see. And then we had this outburst, not an outburst, a downpour of water. And just to see the elephants running around in the rain, kind of like there was this one baby elephant that was running away from its keeper and trumpeting the entire way. And you could just almost hear the giggles. And it was really, really cute. They were fantastic. Another thing I learned about them is that there were 3 baby elephants in this reserve that we were on. And so each baby elephant not only has a human tending to it, but the mom will be close by. And then another female elephant will also be there to help take care of the elephant when the mom like isn't seeing everything. And so you have the baby, a mom, and then the basically a nanny elephant. And that's the way elephants do things. Like they just do it that way. So, they really are embodying the whole it takes a village thing. And it's really, really cool to see that in action and to see, how community is just one of the more natural instincts in the world. I loved that. Jenny, you had an I dreamed this moment. That sounds fun. um, AJ says, I learned something that psychology used to be more mystic because it was about the study of the soul. And to be taken seriously, psychology became, as we know it and think of it now, a study of the mind. A lot of things started out as a search for meaning and then became more science as they were able to validate themselves in other ways. And honestly, I think everything started out that way. When you look at like even astronomy, And astronomy and astrology are so linked. Numerology and math are so linked. Alchemy and chemistry are so linked. And I think it's just a matter of, what was culture doing at the time, and how respected were you able to be in the context of what you were doing, and how did those who were in power try to limit that or try to uplift that. It's a thing. Zone defense, I love it. Yeah. uh Sassafras Kathy gets things from animals. It was weird at first, but now I know what it is and I can appreciate it more. Yeah. I remember the first time I worked with animal communication, it was with Jack, who is over here being a big baby. And don't worry, buddy, in about 10 minutes, I'm going to give you your lunch and you'll be able to go outside. So you'll be really stoked. But when Jack was a little pup, which was 10 years ago now, he's turning 10 this month, you guys. Oh my God. When he was a pup, he used to run around 18 acres of woods, which was the backyard that I had growing up. And so he would be out there chasing deer, doing whatever. And when I would need him to come back, I would call him, but sometimes he was too far away for my voice to carry. And so I started learning animal communication, and I used to send him images of treats. And I noticed that when I would send him I would send myself out, kind of astral project, to see where he was in the woods. And when I felt like I found him, I would send him an image of the treat I was going to give him. I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't do anything. But sure enough, he'd come bounding out of the woods, plop right in front of me, and be like, "Where's the treat?" And so that's how he and I started working on that. Yeah, it's really, it's so natural when you do get into it. It's really cool. I think a lot of things in the spiritual way, we tend to overcomplicate because we think it should be more effort, but when we get into it, you find like, oh wait, this is more natural than like breathing half the time. So things are allowed to be easy. It's fantastic. Um, you get a strong deja vu moment and you treat them like a signpost, like, okay, you're headed in the right direction. Yeah, I agree with that. I think when we did our episode on the podcast with John Edward, he gave us his idea about deja vu, and I think it aligned with that pretty well, Christina, if you wanted to catch that episode. Um, what a distinguished gentleman. Yeah, he's 10 years old, and Ball is still life, which is great. He still has a ton of energy. He's doing fantastic. And I'm stoked about that because in my head, he's still a 6-month-old puppy, and he always will be, even when he's whining like a big baby. So, yeah. Yeah, it's funny in my folk magic group, we're more of a line. We don't really call ourselves a coven, but we call ourselves a line for whatever reason. We're trying to put together like how to teach people astral stuff. Um, because it does, like, between astral projection and what's the other one that always happens similarly? There's astral projection, and then there's one that kind of goes hand in hand with it. Like, they're different, but they feel the same, and it's really easy to get them tangled up. We're trying to really kind of get into that. Um, yeah, took a moment. That's awesome. All right. Yeah, they are always babies, Gabe. They are. He will be my baby for the rest of my life, and I love him so much. How do you first realize you were connecting with Jack? I'd love to connect with my dog. I had to prove it. I always need concrete evidence for everything that I do. So I realized I was connecting with Jack when I would feel like I found him in the woods, send him the picture of the treat, and he would come running. So when he would show up, and that happened 2 or 3 times, I was like, okay, I think I'm onto something here. Um, but it feels the same as all my other kind of work that I do energetically. I use a lot of clairvoyance for it. So I'm always picturing things in my mind and kind of I kind of let the images find me, which was a really good breakthrough for me. I learned about witnessing versus trying to like formulate something. So it felt less like I could have been making it up because I was just open, and then I would get images and I would get stuff. And then I would be like, this is what I see. Can I validate this in any way? And then I was able to, and that was huge for me. Um, Curious why Kitty is giving me the side eye this time versus all other times. Oh, yeah. So I also found out science has proven that female dogs judge you harsher than male dogs do, which in this household holds true. Zelda is much more of a scrupulous analyzer, to put that in a nice way. Um, so I already knew how to astral. I learned a lot of this stuff on my own or through reading books. Um, so yeah, I learned how to astral project before realizing what astral projection was. I was doing what I considered long distance healing at the time, so I would sort of just send myself to the person and kind of see what was going on. For those of you who have heard the story about how I kind of walked my grandmother to heaven, um, that was astral projection and then some, because I put myself where she was. I took note of everything that was around me so that I could validate it from people who had been in that hospital room because it was COVID. I wasn't allowed to go visit her, so I didn't know what her room looked like. But later, when I was able to go to my mom, I said, "This is the room I saw," down to like there was a window, but the window led to like one of these kinds of walls. So the window was here, but the view was just a brick wall. And then down here was a courtyard. And mom was like, "Yeah, that was her room." I was like, "Cool." And then there was like a couch and her hospital bed was over here and the door was like here. And so I could tell her all of these things. And she's like, "Yeah, that's what her room looked like." And I'd never been in her room. I had never even been in that hospital since I was like 9 years old. Um, and certainly not in one of their hospital rooms. I'd only been in the exam rooms. Thanks. So yeah, that's kind of how I started understanding. Like another time, my dad had a cousin whose wife was in this gas station and she collapsed and like knocked her head on a sink and then went into a coma. And so as soon as it happened, like I wasn't aware of all the details, but dad was like, "Can you help her?" And I was like, "I will try." So I said, "Take me to where she is." And I found her in a bathroom next to a sink, but her body wasn't there, but she was standing there confused. And so I was like, "Hey, do you know what happened?" And we just had this conversation. And then she vanished. And in my mind, I was like, well, maybe she went back to her physical, like maybe she just kind of popped out by accident, like a dislocated shoulder, but a dislocated soul. And then my dad called me and was like, "She woke up." So that was great. Um, but yeah, every time I have been able to validate it. And so that's always what I look for is if I can validate it, then I can believe in it and I can move forward from there and take the next step with it. That's always been my process. So yeah, I figured out astral projection because my natural instinct was, well, if I can't physically be with them, I will be with them as much as I can and just kind of go where they are. So yeah, it was long distance healing that taught me how to astral project. Um, Oh, yay, Shauna, that's how animal communication works for you. Double validation. Love it. Yeah. So I hope that those were satisfactory answers. Do you have any books that you recommend for astral? Honestly, Steph Lynn, I don't right now. I have not encountered a resource. Does anybody else know one that you guys like that have taught astral projection? Because honestly, it's like a side mention in a lot of the books, but they're not even talking about it as like this is astral. If they're telling you that you're projecting your consciousness somewhere, that's astral. So, I mean, it's almost so simple that it's tough to like even when I find it in intuitive books, I'm like, "Oh, that was astral," but it's just gone. Like it's just mentioned offhanded. Um so I don't have any specific books on it. Sassafras Kath, I had an experience when I was 5. I floated out of my body and looked at myself floating outside to a scene that was unfolding. I remember it vividly to this day. It's been getting stronger lately. That's cool. Yeah. So when it comes to astral, I'm not sure that it's because I'm like, if I wrote a book on astral, it would be 20 pages. It's just, maybe it's that there's just not a lot to explain to it. It's very much like Grandma Aggie in Halloween Town, right? It's one of those things where magic is really very simple. All you have to do is think of what you want and then let yourself have it. And I really feel that that's like my best way of explaining astral. Think of where you want to be and then let yourself be there. And one of the best ways to practice is honestly go on like Zillow, look at the outside of a house, and then astral to the inside and take a tour, and then look at the pictures for the rest of the house and see if they match up to what you saw. And then you can exercise your astral that way. That's one of the more fun ways to do things. When I was learning from someone who was teaching, that's not necessarily what we did. We astraled to our teacher's house, and we walked around and we were like, "This is what I see in the house," and he was like, "Yep, that's my staircase. Yep, that's this." But houses are really easy because you can find all the pictures of all the rooms on things like Zillow. So that's what I would recommend. Go onto some kind of a real estate um, house website, pick a house, and then astral into it, take a tour, and then use the pictures to validate your experience. So I hope that that's helpful. Um, but yes, it is time to wrap up for today. I will be posting throughout the week. I am on my social media. I'm here to connect with you as much as I can. I adore you guys. And I'll look forward to our next live broadcast this Friday with M on the Alchemist Inkwell channel. Keep an eye out for there's well, okay, now I can do links to Germany, which will be in this video once it's posted. You can travel with us to Germany next year. I forgot to tell you that. We're going to Germany next September in 2026, and we're doing a Sound of Music tour. And some of us are going to cosplay during it. And yeah, I'm going to be one of them. So I'm really excited about that. Germany next year, the summit next month, and the annual Perfections thing, which is coming up on this coming Sunday, where you can get more information about it. And you can register through the link that AJ gave us. And I will be sending out more things through Patreon and my mailing list. So keep an eye out for those as well. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a fantastic week. Be gentle with yourself this week. Take all the rest you need. And I will see you on Friday. Bye.